I think that kind of brings us nicely. We're going to talk about energy recovery and safety, but I think we're kind of running out of time, Janelle. So I'd just like to talk a wee bit about the business of driver skills versus advanced technology. And I was thinking this morning a kind of a contemporary or timely thing to discuss would be our friend Nelson Piquet Jr., just for a couple of seconds as an example. Now, Mr. Piquet has just been booted out of Renault, is my understanding. He's a bit of a star in Formula 3, and he didn't do too badly in GP2 either. He's got into the Renault Formula 1 team. He's done 1.5 seasons in that team. He's been in a car which has been extremely difficult to drive. He hasn't beaten Fernando Alonso, but that's a pretty tough call by all accounts, I suspect. Now he's drop-kicked out. If you go back to Jenson Button, when he first started off, he had a good car, he had a good season, and then after that he went into Renault. He met up with Flavio, and he got a bit above his station, I think, and had a couple of pretty bad years where he was burnt off by Fisichella and then a bit by Trulli. Yet he's back, now he's in a really good car and he's showing everybody up, although the last couple of races haven't been so good. So it seems to me that these guys are all, as an amateur standing by, it seems to me that all of these guys are fantastic drivers in their own right. And I just wonder to what extent, if we saw Piquet in a more friendly kind of environment in a better car, will he survive the Formula 1 merry-go-round, or is he really as bad as Flavio thinks he is and deserves to go out the back door? Gentlemen, discuss.
I do think he's had a bit of a raw deal at Renault, and I think he's had a raw deal with Flavio Briatore, who, don't forget, Flavio is his manager. Flavio is the guy who's directing his career, and he's also the guy that seems to be screwing his career. But I don't think all the blame is on Renault or all the blame is on Piquet. I think it's they don't gel. He says he hasn't been given the equipment to do the job. I don't necessarily believe that, but somebody is going to get the new equipment. That's patently obvious at McLaren as well. Kovalainen didn't have all the best bits and pieces when Hamilton did. But are they kicking Kovalainen out? No, they're trying to nurture him and keep his interest because they believe he's going to be good. I think Piquet will come good one day, but I'm not sure he's going to have that chance again now.
I think this is a chicken and egg question. You know, is it the car? Is it the driver? Because history will support a lot of things. Mika Salo was fantastic in lower formulas, always looked a bit average in F1 until he got a shot in the Ferrari alongside Michael Schumacher. And all of a sudden he looked like a star. So definitely, you can't compensate for a crap car. And yet, Barrichello, who's always viewed himself as, you know, future world champion, details to be advised. No, he's not there. So there is something in driver. Definitely there's something in driver.
But all those guys that are driving, doesn't matter if it's 20, 19, 18 or 22 of them, they're all damn good. I mean, we're talking really, you know, you're talking the best being 100% and the worst being 99.93%. You know, they're all fantastic drivers, don't get us wrong.
Well, I was going to mention our own Brendan Hartley, because even reading between the line of Murray's press releases, let's not forget that that's a Kiwi bum in a Formula 1 seat. And he's obviously very, very, very good. You know, what happens from here, who knows? But they are all very, very good.
David, you've had a favourite Brazilian as well, I seem to recall. Do you want to have a little bit of a talk about the different qualities of drivers and technology?
I'll pay drivers.
Favourite Brazilian, I want to
I think, yeah, in my last year at Tyrrell, we actually, when we were bought out by British American Racing, we actually had Mika Salo and Jos Verstappen as our signed drivers, and we were looking forward to that season immensely because, you know, we knew Mika was a good driver. He scored our only points the year prior to that, and we thought that we were going to have a really good show of putting lots of egg on the Ford face because we were a customer engine to their factory team. And yeah, unfortunately, British American Racing booted both our drivers off the seat, and we had paid drivers, Toranishi Takagi and Riccardo Rossi. And I think Riccardo Rossi I think there's an exception to what you were saying actually, because he was a very average driver. I think your grandmother could have got in and actually driven faster than him. He failed to qualify for us a couple of times, just through his sheer lack of speed, and he didn't deserve to be there. I think, I think in terms of PK's situation, I think it doesn't really matter what equipment that you get put in, you've actually got to compete with your teammate. And the measure of your speed is particularly how close you are to your teammate, and ideally you and your teammate are fighting it out for the front of the grid. And I think that's probably really a measure of like you take the equipment out of the equation, and that's why there have been some guys that have stuck around in Formula One for a long time, and Jenson Button is one of those. Barrichello is another one. You'd actually say that Barrichello was in Michael Schumacher's shadow for so long, and now he's in Jenson Button's shadow. But they're there, and they've been there for a long time for a good reason. And Mark Webber's another one, and they're getting good opportunities now. And I think they're there for their speed, but also actually for the input that they actually give to develop the cars. And that's really, really important, and that's, I think, why Brendan Hartley is actually, I don't know Brendan Hartley, I've seen him race when he was very small in New Zealand, but I think, chances are the reason that he's actually got his opportunities and things there and where he's got to is because he's so good at giving feedback to develop the car, and that's really, really important to an F1 team.
But it's not an unusual situation. It's happened all the way through history. I mean, you can keep on going back, and you have to be lucky with the draw. I remember when we had Michael Andretti in the McLaren. He was up against Ayrton Senna, and the car was designed for Ayrton. Ayrton's one of the quickest drivers ever to have lived, and you put Michael Andretti in, who's just come from IndyCar racing effectively, or whatever they called it then, Champ Car, and he just couldn't hack it. So he was replaced with Mika Hakkinen, who'd been raised with Formula Vauxhall, whatever they called the thing at the time, and he out-qualified Ayrton at his first ever race in Portugal. So suddenly, same car, same everything, and a different approach to it, and the guy went on to be a two-time world champion. So it's something that happens through history. Some people are useless when they come up through the ranks. They get into a Formula One car or something really good, and they just fly. And some people are exactly the opposite way. They'll zoom up through the ranks and get to a Formula One car, and they can't handle the situation. So it's something that happened. You go back as far as Moss and people like that. It's always happened and always will.
Well, Martin Brundle is the only teammate of Michael Schumacher's to have outperformed him in equal equipment.